Om Sri Sai Ram. Welcome to Sri Sathya Sai Loka Seva Gurukulam. Today we are going to see the 9th part of building blocks of life, cells and tissue. This happened to be our final part in this session. First we will see the answers for the previous home assignment. The first question asked was, what is the nature of heart muscle? We have already studied heart muscle is so special and it will have certain different nature also. The heart tissues are striped, that is having striation, and these muscles are having so many muscle fibers which are having branched, and they are having intercalated disc. They are connected between the muscle fibers. The next question asked was, how heart muscle differ from the striated muscle based on its function. So this can be asked in various ways also. How based on the function they are asking us to differentiate. Based on the structure or based on any other property also it can be asked. Or between various different kind of muscle fibers also they can ask. We have studied at least 3 different types, right? So anything can be asked. As an example, we have this question here. Based on the function, we are going to differentiate heart. Heart muscle contracts and relaxes on its own, but striated muscles are under the control of our own will. We can able to do the controlling part of it, right? So that's how it is totally different. Next is, what are the type of muscular tissue present in our body? In human body, at least 3 different types of muscles we have studied. They are striated muscle, unstriated muscle and cardiac muscle, right? These are the answers. Now we will go to today's learning objective. We are going to continue learning animal tissue. In that we are going to study the next 2 tissues, that is connective tissue and a nervous tissue. First we will see the connective tissue. What is connective tissue? The name suggests, right? It is present in connection between 2 different organs. Hence it is known as connective tissue. This connective tissue will have a matrix. Matrix is the liquid or fluid or not having any cellular structure like nature we can able to see. That is nothing but the matrix of the connective tissue, and in that connective tissue we can able to see the cells are embedded. It is not like muscle cells next to each other we can able to see the cells. Here it is not the case. It will have some object which is present between the cells, and these are having some connective tissue fibers also. The examples for connective tissues are areolar tissue, adipose tissue, cartilage tissue, bones and blood. These are the example. What is this areolar tissue? Around the heart we can able to see some of the liquid which is present. Around kidney also we can able to see some liquid is present. These kind of tissue which is present around the organ which is known as areolar tissue. Adipose tissue is nothing but the fat tissue what is present in our body. Cartilage is the very smooth kind of flexible kind of bony structures, little, right? We can have it in the pinna of our ear, those things. And then bones we already know, like it is present throughout our body, and blood. These are some of the examples of the connective tissue. There are different types of connective tissue which is present. Fibrous tissue, cartilage tissue, bone tissue. These along with the fluid connective tissues. These are the types of connective tissue. We will see the overall function of this connective tissue. They are binding different structures, that is with one another. That is, the muscle has to get connected to the bone. Between the bones also connection has to be there, right? So the connection between the bones and the muscles which is known as tendon. The connection between 2 bones are known as ligament. These are some of the functions of this connective tissue. Next is, it forms the support. Because of that only we have certain shape, right? Our body has shape because it is giving some framework, and also it is supportive in nature. For an example, we have cartilaginous tissue and bone tissue, which is giving the support and the structure of a particular person. Then we have an adipose connective tissue, right? It will store fat, and it is in the form of shock proof also. If we are having sudden hit by something, then this tender organ, because the heart or kidney, lungs and all, it is not having inside some skeleton is present, right? It is all very smooth structures, right? Very soft structures. This may get damaged, right? In order to protect that, a layer of fat will be present around that. That is nothing but the adipose tissue. So, this fat tissue, what it is doing, it will protect our organ when there is a shock which was given. If you are falling down or if somebody is hitting us, then it is protecting. Like a cushion which is present, right? We can able to see that in kidney, ovary and eyeball will have more amount of adipose tissue which is present to protect it. And blood is also a connective tissue. We know, like, blood is going between the organ and supplies the nutrients and also food and also the oxygen and the removal of carbon dioxide. So, blood is also a connective tissue. Now, we will see one by one. The first type of connective tissue is the fibrous tissue, right? The fibrous tissue is having a matrix. In that, cells are embedded. Along with that, fibers are also present in it. We can able to see the nucleus is also present in the fibrous tissue, and these are separated from one another by intercellular spaces. There is a space present between one cell to the next cell. You can able to see now two cells are getting separated from each other. The space between them is known as intercellular spaces. So, the intercellular space is present, and in this space we have the liquid material which is present. The green color which is mentioned here, this is the material which is present between the cells, right? This is nothing but the matrix. The example for this kind of fibrous tissue is tendon, ligament and adipose tissue. Then its functions are, they are present in the bone, in between bone and muscle, right? So, it is involving in the connection, and the connection between the bones are also, we can able to see this kind of fibrous tissue which is present, and it is involving in packing, binding of most of the organ, and also it is involving in storage of fat. These are some of the important functions of the fibrous tissue. We will move further to cartilaginous tissue. Here also you can able to see the matrix which is present, and the cells are also located. In some places we cannot able to see the cell, empty space is present, that is known as lacunae. That is also present in the cartilaginous tissue. These tissues are semi-transparent or elastic in nature, little flexible, like not very stubborn like a bone. We can able to move our pinna, right? Pinna is the place where the outermost ear is there, right? We can able to move it because of the elastic nature. The example is, it is present in the nose, ear and also in the windpipe. It is also present at the end of all the bones. When the bone ends, in that also we can able to see the cartilaginous tissue. It is involving in support and also strength of a particular organ. That is the major function. Next is bone. In the bone, when you are taking bone overall into consideration, we can able to see that bone cells are present, the fiber-like structures which is drawn, right? That is nothing but the bone cells, and the bone cells are having the center Haversian canal which is present in the center, and then it is having an interconnecting ring-like structure. You can able to see now the ring-like structures are present. So, they are interconnected ring-like structures are present. Individually, when we are enlarging the bone cells, the bone cell will look like that. Osteoclast cells which will have a nucleus, and also it is having a different architecture. You can able to see now it is having so many finger-like projections which is present. Now we will see the nature of the cells. The bone cells are very hard and also porous in nature. That is, it is having tiny pores which is present, and they are having living part and a non-living part which is present. The entire cell is a living part, but in between that is a non-living part of the bone tissue. The example where it is present in the bones of our body, thigh bones, rib bones, and also the backbone. These bone cells are present. Main function is it is providing support, strength, and also it is involving in the movement of our body. Next, we will proceed to the fluid connective tissues. It is both cellular and a fluid part. You can imagine a blood, so it is having cells also present, red blood cells, white blood cells, have you heard of? So this is having a cells and also liquid, right? It is, so it is having a fluid part which is more, right? And they are located in blood cells and also lymph. And main function is it transport gases such as oxygen towards the cell and carbon dioxide from away from the cell, right, towards the lung it will transport, and it has to transmit some chemical substances. What is this chemical substances? Glucose and other important material needed for a particular cell, right? Proteins has to get transferred. All those things are possible. Hormones, when it is secreted in one part and it has to go to the other organ, everything is possible. So these kind of substances are known as chemical substances. So the blood is involving in the transport of those things. Apart from that, some waste excretory products, urea, like chemicals also we are producing, right? That has to be transported towards what? Kidney, right? So those things also the blood is only doing. And it is not only doing those process. Apart from that, it is involving in protection. When there is a disease causing organism enters, any bacteria or anything enters inside our body, immediately this blood cells, white blood cells are involving in the protection, right? In the lymph also you can consider that mainly involving in filtering out all the unwanted pathogen which entered inside our body. Now we will proceed to the nervous tissue. The nervous tissue consists of nerve cells, or it is known as neuron. And we can able to see a bundle of nerve fibers which is coming. These nerve fibers are having a specific name, axon, and these are forming the nerve fiber. And the nerve cells or the neuron is the structural and functional unit of the nervous system. What is structural? Because of that it is getting the shape, right? And functional unit, it will do that function. Both will be done by the same cell. So it is known as structural and functional unit. And these cells are having various parts, that is cell body or cyton, and dendrons are dendrites, axon. These are the parts. Now we will see in the figure how it is arranged. The cell is having the cell body which is present, right? And it is having a nucleus also. So we will see the cell body or cyton has a prominent nucleus which is present. Apart from that, it has cell organelles like mitochondria, Golgi bodies also present in this cytoplasm. When we are seeing that, we can able to see small dots which is written, that is representing the cell organelles and the other things which is present inside the cell. The cell is having most important structure that is known as Nissel body. Nissel body is a rough endoplasmic reticulum. Hope you remember the previous section. In that, the rough endoplasmic reticulum is the ribosomes attached on the top involving in protein synthesis function, right? So that is present inside the cell body or the cyton of the neuron. Then there are several thread-like structures which is coming out from the nerve cell body, which is known as dendons. The dendons are several in number. You can able to see all around the body. It is having so many tendons which is present. One of them is very long. That is known as axon. Can you able to see this? This is nothing but the axon. Axon will have end at the rear side, where it will have connection with the next nerve cell. So this is the long structure. This is known as axon. Apart from that, what are all the other things which is present? This axon may be covered by a myelin or medullary sheath. The medullary sheath is covering here, right, in this area. This is known as myelinated nerve cells. Sometimes the cell may not have that, that is non-myelinated nerve cells are also there. Okay, this kind of sheath when it is present, that is having, that is known as myelin sheath or medullary sheath. In between the medullary sheath, there will be a slight depression which is present, that is known as node of Ranvier. That is also present in the nerve cells. So, this sheath at regular interval, it will have the nodes of Ranvier. The space between axon ending of one nerve cells to the other cells, other cell body which is having, okay, here if you are having the next nerve cells, then it is known as synapses. That is, the synaptic junction will be present, that is, one nerve cells may not in connection with the next nerve cells, it won't have any connection, but instead of that, what it is having synapses. In that synapses, the nerve cell, it has to tell some communication, it will release some chemicals. This chemical which is released by one axon will go and attach to the dendrons which is present in the next nerve cells. Okay, thereby it will conduct the signal from one place to another. If we are touching our hand or anything, then our brain realizes, right? So, how it is happening? Because the nerve cells are getting stimulated, and from one nerve cell to the next nerve cell it is going. You can imagine immediately after touching, we can able to understand like somebody is touching us, right? If you are touching the hard surface, or if you are getting pricked, immediately we are doing certain function. So, how fast the signal is from one cell to the brain, okay, how fast it is happening, and then we know like what we have to do further, right? If it is very hard, immediately we are removing our hand from that. So, how fast it can able to do, we can able to see, even though the cells are so many numerous in number and the signal has to get transmitted between them. Now, we are going to study about the stem cells technology. What is stem cells and why it is very much important nowadays? The stem cells are undifferentiated. We have seen so many kind of cells so far, right? These cells are not having any fate. Whatever you wanted, these cells has to become, then the cells will obey that command and it will become that cell. These are nothing but the stem cells. So, they are unspecialized cells. Specialized in the sense, skin cells, we have seen columnar cells, epithelial cells, and that. They are specialized and then they will have a certain function to do. But the stem cells will not have any function and then it will make the other cells. These cells have a capacity which will undergo mitosis. The other differentiated cells, heart and all, it won't develop, right? Whatever we have got it when we are born, then it will try to maintain that, right? But these cells tend to do mitosis till the end. We can know like our bones are also growing, right? We can tell like when we are baby, the bones are small. When we are adult, the bones have grown. But the bone is not growing, actually the stem cells in that bone is growing. Okay, only the differentiated cells cannot able to grow. This undifferentiated stem cells is only growing. And they have undergone mitosis, and then after mitosis it has two fate. One, it can able to undergo differentiation and go for specialization. In a particular organ, bone cells, bone stem cells will undergo division and it will become bone, right? So, similarly, wherever it is present, it will undergo differentiation. Some of them are remaining as stem cells and some are differentiating into the specialized cell type. And the stem cells only will again and again redivide, and then we because of that we are tend to grow. The stem cells we can get it from the embryo. Embryo is the fertilized egg. After that it's in the womb, we can able to see that embryo development, right? The fetus formation. Before that it is embryo, and then we can get the stem cells from the umbilical cord. Umbilical cord is the small tube-like structure which is present in the baby, right? The small tubes which is present in the baby which connects with the placenta in the mother. that umbilical cord cells are also having stem cells, and bone marrow in the adult are also having stem cells. Why bone marrow? Because blood cells are produced in the bone marrow. Again and again blood cell has to get renewed, right? The old cell is getting removed and the new cells has to produce, and if you are having any infection or anything, new blood cells has to form to fight against that particular organism which entered inside our body. Because of that, the bone marrow is also having the stem cell. These stem cells are used in the treatment process, that is known as stem cell therapy. So, where and all it is used? In the medical research, stem cell therapy is the latest developing field. In that, we can able to see, we can get the replacement of the old tissue by the stem cell therapy in many human diseases. Say for an example, in blood cancer, the blood stem cell therapy is used in the replacement of the bone marrow. So, the damaged bone marrow is replaced by the healthy bone marrow of other person. So, the person will get rid of the blood cancer. So, that is how the stem cell therapy is very much important, because the stem cells are there only undergoing some kind of mutation and differentiation. So, the cells are undergoing cancerous in nature. So, those cells if you will remove and new cells when we are adding without any cancerous property, we can able to get these treatment for a particular diseases. Stem cells are used in various ways. Where and all it is used? Which will replace the damaged tissue. As we have seen, like if we are having any kind of diseases where we are getting any damage of the tissue, we can use the stem cells to replace it. And to study the human development, how human is developed, because we cannot able to see in everything, right? We cannot sacrifice any human for that purpose. But if you will study stem cells in the laboratory condition, only the cells when it is dividing and growing, we can able to see that how the human development is taking place. And it is used to test any kind of new drug or the medicine when it is invented, that will be first tested onto this stem cells. If there is no effect which is happening, any adverse effect which is not happening to that of the stem cells, then it is administered to that of the human. Directly we cannot take human subject for any of the studies, right? So, this is one of the important breakthrough what we are having it from the stem cells. And the stem cells are involving in the new method which is known as gene therapy. Gene therapy is, we are having genes, right, chromosomes, and some of the chromosomes are little defective. So, we will get some diseases. So, the people who are having a disease which we can able to replace with the healthy nice genes, because the defective gene is not working properly, we can remove the defective gene and the original and a healthy gene can be replaced. That is known as gene therapy. These are all some of the important uses of the stem cells, and it is currently under so much of investigation. With this, we are completing the entire unit, and we will see some of the review questions now. What is stem cell therapy? Explain the part of nerve cells with the diagram. So, you are expected to draw a diagram and you have to label the parts also, and then you have to explain as well. Give examples of fibrous tissue. List out the types of connective tissue. So, you have to just listing it out, what are the different kind of connective tissue. With that note, I am just signing off now, and if you have any doubt, please do watch our videos again. And with that, I am taking a leave. Thank you. Om Shri Sai Ram.